Okay, what's going on, everyone? Swinging Bull here, back again for another earnings stream. Today we got MRVL, which is Marvell Technology, and we also have Dell reporting. There are a few others. I'll let you know the other ones reporting, some of the bigger names. So MRVL, Dell. We also have Affirm reporting, Ulta Beauty, just retail. Also got Gap reporting, another retail company, and Webull, ticker symbol BULL, Bulls reporting also. So we got quite a few, but today I'm gonna go over MRVL and Dell, and I also want to check on Bull. MRVL reports at 4:05 p.m. Eastern. Dell also reports at 4:05 p.m. Eastern. And let's take a look at Bull real quick. Webull. And Bull reports at 4:15 p.m. Eastern. So we'll get MRVL and Dell first, and then we'll get Webull. So MRVL, the forecast EPS 0.67, forecast revenue $2 billion. They're trading just above their anchored VWAP. Dell reports at 4:05. Their forecast EPS 2.31. And their forecast revenue $29.2 billion. They're also trading above their anchored VWAP. I think a lot of stocks are trading above their anchored VWAP. So we got just a few more minutes here. Let's just look and see how their income statement and balance sheet and stuff like that are going into the earnings. So MRVL. Let's look at some other things first. Their PE ratio is 75. EPS negative 0.57, 858 million float. Look at Dell already getting some action here. I don't think the data's out yet, so it's just like pre-earnings price action. Dell has a PE of 20, trailing 12 months, and EPS 6.44, and they do pay a 1.5% dividend. Their free float 647 million. Halo 27 Legend on YouTube. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. Thanks for checking in. So Marvell Technology and Dell Technology reporting earnings. Just in about a few more minutes, we should get both of these reactions at the same time. Look at Dell flicking around over here. We'll go 1 minute chart. I'll pull it up on TradingView as well. 1 minute chart. Okay, so Dell just price is kind of acting a little crazy right now. Went up to 135 and some change, and all the way back down to 134. Now it's just sitting there kind of waiting on the data. Good TradingView looks a little different than Webull. 1 minute chart. Okay, so Dell closed the regular session at $134.52. And MRVL closed the regular session at $77.23. So as soon as we get these reactions, we'll pull up the bigger time frame, see if we can pick out some support and some resistance levels on the daily chart or the weekly chart. Higher the time frame, the more weight I'll put on the level. MRVL, okay, they're getting some movement too right now. I keep my eye on it. It's just about 1 more minute before they're technically both released. So I just think this is just some flickering candle pre-earnings price action going on right now. So take it with a grain of salt. MRVL. Let's see what their income statement, just kind of a bird's eye view. Okay, so they are pulling a net profit or a positive net income. So that's good. 2 quarters back to back. Annual basis, not so much, but quarterly, it looks like they're finally starting to make some money here. So that's pretty good. Debt to asset only 33%, so that's good. MRVL, as of May 3rd, 2025, they got 885 million in cash and equivalents. So that's a pretty nice position there. Let me go over here real quick. Let's check Dell. So Dell, they're a nice and profitable company. They usually range from like 0.8 billion to 1.6 billion, kind of like a positive net income range that they've had quarter over quarter over quarter. Even the annual basis, they've been profitable for the past 5 years. And of course, positive net income over the past 5 quarters. Balance sheet, okay, they got 103% debt to assets, so a little bit on the high leverage side. Let's go back to the sticks. Okay, here we go. We got the action. M. Charles, no, full disclosure, I do not have a position with either one of these. But if we have time at the end of the stream, I'll pull up my Fidelity account and show everyone some of the open positions that I do have and some of the positions I closed out earlier. But yeah, these earnings streams, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes I don't have positions with them, sometimes I do. But I just pick out like 2 of the popular tickers each day, and we just kind of come on here and stream and have fun and look at the earnings reactions, get the EPS revenue, any guidance. So look at Dell getting a positive reaction. It was kind of volatile at first. It wicked down, then it wicked up, and now it's kind of thinking about what it's going to do here. MRVL got a negative reaction, and it's looking like this might be the reaction. It's down like $4 a share. We'll see. Let's give it a minute. Sometimes these things reverse real quickly right when the earnings get announced. But we should have the data on both of these companies. So let me just check on the side here. Okay, we'll look at MRVL first, and then I'll go to Dell. So here's the earnings results for MRVL as far as EPS revenue, year-over-year numbers, quarter-over-quarter numbers. So MRVL's forecast EPS was 0.67. They reported 0.67, so that came in line. Revenue forecast 2.01 billion. They just reported 2.006 billion. So yeah, a miss, just barely though. I'd probably call that in line as well. EPS and revenue were up year over year and quarter over quarter. But I think investors wanted to see a bit more revenue on this earnings report, so they kind of came in line there. It's getting a negative reaction. Let me see if I can find any commentary from the CEO, CFO, all that stuff, and then we'll figure out what time their earnings web call is with the upper management. MRVL's implied move was about 8%. So around $6, up or down. Of course, the reaction is negative. So it's kind of sitting right where the expected move is. It was right around $6 is what was getting priced in. So it's down just under $6 a share, like $5.80 a share. It's changing because the after hours is open right now. Now, since the last earnings report, overall they're up 20%. So just kind of a fun fact there. They're up 20% since the last earnings report. So they're getting a negative reaction. They're sitting here they came down to about $70. Then it wicked down there and then came back up, and then now there's some more selling going on. So let's give it a second. Kind of want to wait for the bottom to come in, but let me look on the weekly chart here and just see what we got. So yeah, I mean, this weekly candle, you see this bottom wick from last week's candle, and also a wick from over here from July 18th. So it's right around $68. I'd probably call this support around $68. That's only like $2.75 below where it's at now. So that could be a level to keep in mind. These are weekly candles. This is not no 5-minute chart here. So each candle's 1 week. Looks like clear support or demand, if you will, around $68. So support level number 1 on MRVL, I'd like for the bulls, I'd like it to hold $68. That's a clear level on the weekly chart here. So let me go back intraday and see what it's doing. Okay, it's still just made a low, tapped $70 to the penny. Yeah, Charles on YouTube. Yeah, there wasn't really I mean, the average volume over the past 3 months have been about 19 million a day. It did 28 million today, so a little bit more than the average, but Sometimes we see 2x, 3x the volume when we have the earnings catalyst, and this didn't come anywhere near that. So, yeah, I would say it's maybe trading on low volume. Considering they got the earnings catalyst and everything, you'd think there'd be a bit more volume. So, Charles, definitely see what you mean there. Still trying to find the bottom. Again, $68. That's that weekly level. Of course, on the weekly chart. And there was some buying when it wicked down to 70, but then there was some more selling after that. So we got some buyers coming in right now. It's working on a green candle print. Dell just looks sloppy. Look at Dell's price action. That's just sloppy. So I'll come back. I'll come back to Dell here in a minute. I just want to look at MRVL for a second. Let me see where this fib level lines up at. Probably 72 bucks maybe. Like it to get above $72. If you can't get above 72, it might be a dead cat bounce, so be careful of that. But 72 bucks gets reclaimed, maybe it does start retracing back up. But until that happens, I'm not really confident that's going to do that. It could just be could make another after hours low here if it can't get back above 72. So we'll see. I got my eye on it. Let me check again I always like to see the comments from the CEO and CFO, and usually they'll have some commentary released with the data that we can go over before they actually have their earnings web call. And yep, looks like I found some commentary from Matt Murphy, Marvell's chairman and CEO. So let's take a look here. Okay. Marvell delivered record revenue of $2 billion in the second quarter. So that is a 58% year-over-year increase. Obviously, that's not getting investors excited, just that piece of data, because it's still sitting down here. It's down $7 a share right now. Matt Murphy says, we expect continued growth into the third quarter, accompanied by operating margin and earnings per share expansion. Okay, that's all fine and dandy, but still not impressing investors. Marvell's growth is being fueled by strong AI demand for our custom silicon and electro-optics products, as well as significant increase in the pace of recovery in our enterprise networking and carrier infrastructure end markets. Our custom AI design activity is at an all-time high, with the Marvell team now engaged in over 50 new opportunities across more than 10 customers. Okay. And I'm actually showing, some people are saying it came in line. Some people are saying they missed, but I just think overall it came in line. Like here's someone else saying that there was a double miss, but the earnings came in line, and that's not going to be enough to excite investors to start buying this thing up. They prefer to see some big beats with revenue. Let's take a look here. So there's here's a nice data here from the Wall Street Engine. Let's just go over this real quick. Give me 1 second. Okay, so Q3 guidance. This is probably what's hurting them. They lowered guidance for the remainder of Q3. Look, it's about to make a new after hours low. So I'm going to get rid of this fib until the bottom comes in, because the bottom's not in yet. So it's looking like it's turning into a bit of a dead cat bounce, but we'll see. Look at Dell selling off as well. We're going to move to that in just a second, but let's just look at some of these key metrics here. So Marvell Technology, MRVL, they lowered Q3 revenue guidance. So EPS and revenue came in line, but then they lowered, which I don't think is good. Investors want to see them beat those numbers, especially a tech company like MRVL. But on top of that, they lowered the Q3 guidance. So the Q3 guidance revenue, the estimate was 2.1 billion, and now they're just saying 2.06 billion. So they lowered that. Okay, and EPS, the estimate came in around 72. That's what the estimate was, and then they reported 69 to 79. So kind of, midpoint would be 74. I guess, slight beat on that, but they gave a range, so it's not like an exact number for the EPS guidance. And also, let's see, I think the big one is the Q3 guidance being reduced. That's what's hurting them. And also the data center. This happened with NVIDIA yesterday. Their data center revenue, they missed. That's a big red check mark on that line item. So data center revenue, the estimate for that for MRVL was 1.52 billion, and they reported 1.49 billion. The data center, revenue is important. That's kind of what NVIDIA was struggling with yesterday, even though they've reversed, and I believe NVIDIA came right back to where it closed at before they had the earnings yesterday, didn't they? Let me see. Yeah, right back to 180. Let's go to 15-minute chart. You can see it better. But so they sold off for earnings, and they also missed the forecast for data center revenue. I think that's also why they kind of sold off there, but came right back. I mean, they retraced all the way and held up pretty good today. So kind of a nothing burger on NVIDIA. Calls and puts got burned. Market makers are going to pin this for tomorrow's expiration, probably right around 180. We'll see. But ended up not really being much of a reaction one day after the earnings. So, unfortunately, calls and puts got burned on that one if you were on the buying side of the transaction. But, so it's kind of similar with MRVL. They missed on data center revenue. That's not good. Also, the carrier infrastructure, the estimate for that was 147 million, and they reported 130 million. They missed huge on that one. Consumer revenue, the estimate on that was 91 million. They did report 115 million on that, so they did beat that. For MRVL, automotive and industrial revenue, the estimate on that was 76.3 million, and they reported 76 million. So they missed on that. So you can see, and this is the Q2 end market performance, okay? And out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, out of 5 line items on the Q2 end market performance, they missed on 3 of them on the revenue side. That's why they're getting a negative reaction, folks, okay? Revenue is important for these companies. Anything in the semiconductor, revenues, holds a lot of weight, and you miss 3 out of 5 line items on the Q2 end market performance. Investors aren't liking that. Let's talk about, okay, so I already read a little bit of the commentary from the CEO. Don't see anything from the CFO, so we'll just have to wait for their earnings web call. Looks like they're trying to bottom. Okay, so they came down to 69.52. Again, remember that level on the weekly chart where the bottom of these wicks are. These are weekly candles. So the bottom of last week's wick, and then the bottom of the wick from the week of July 18th. I'm thinking there's some demand there. It's right around $68. So it's trading a little above 70 now. So again, my support on this stock, now that the earnings data is out and it's being digested by investors, and we got the initial reaction. Support level number 1 on MRVL, $67. Nice and tight to where it's trading at now. If 67 don't hold, well, it very well could come, it could lose a bit after that. Could probably maybe come down to $60 or something. So S1 68, S2 60. That's on bigger time frames. Yeah, Charles, I agree that the data definitely, I'm seeing some bearish signals on the data. And again, it's more specifically related to the revenue misses on the Q2 end market performance. So that's what I'm seeing. And again, that's not good for a company, company in semiconductor industry. Revenue is important. They missed 3 out of 5 line items on that one. All right, and they lowered the Q3 guidance, so that's just kind of killing them. I mean, let's be real. It's not down a ton. It closed the regular session at 77.23. It's trading just above $70, so it's not like they're getting slaughtered. You know, I don't think their earnings are horrible, but I don't think they're good either. I don't think they're fantastical, and it's going to cause like this influx of buying on the stock. I just don't see it. I don't see it. So that's what we got with MRVL. Let me post this on the bottom of my screen because I'm just going to put the revenue and EPS down there. Let's see if I can fit all this on one thing here. Okay, hopefully it doesn't come out all jumbled. There we go. That looks fine. So there's the data for MRVL, revenue and EPS. Personally, I think they came in line, but they lowered Q3 guidance and the Q2 end market performance. They missed forecasts or estimates, should I say. They missed estimates on 3 out of 5 line items. So that's just not what investors want to see. So let's go on over to Dell. Let's see what's going on with Dell. We got our reaction on MRVL. We're just kind of waiting for a bottom to form. I thought there was going to be a bottom around 70, and then it made a new after hours low here. You can see kind of starting to curl up a little bit. It's looking like maybe a bottom wants to form. But again, I'm 72 bucks. This thing needs to get back above 72, or I just have no confidence that this is going to retrace. Yeah, Sansi, Sansi on YouTube, I think it's an overreaction because, look, they're definitely a profitable company. They got billions of dollars in revenue. The EPS and revenue that they just reported basically came in line. So it's not like they missed it terribly. And in those 3 line items for the data center revenue, I mean, they missed it. The same thing happened with NVIDIA, and look what happened with NVIDIA after yesterday. NVIDIA retraced all the way back. There could be something similar going on here with MRVL, where it's kind of looking like how NVIDIA was yesterday when we were looking at the earnings yesterday for NVIDIA. It's like the data is not bad, but the data is not great either. So it's just kind of mediocre, which means, yes, that this could be an overreaction because, like I said, that the data wasn't bad, but they did miss the estimate on some of the Q2 performance metrics, specifically the data centers. So very similar to what happened in NVIDIA last night. I think the more concerning thing would be the lowering of the Q3 guidance. That's probably the worst thing that I could see on this. But everything else, it just came in line. It's like nothing crazy. So I think this could be a good dip buy opportunity. It actually looks like there are some buyers entering the picture now. Of course, it's still dealing with this 25% retrace. It's made a few attempts at getting back over there. There was an attempt made here on this green candle here. Got rejected, came back down. And the previous 2 candles just tested that level. It's just having trouble. It's just having trouble retracing that first level. I think once the momentum builds up a little bit and it does retrace and get back above 72, maybe it's got some legs on it then. But right now it's kind of struggling to get over that level. So that's what I would be looking at. 72 bucks. That's resistance number 1 on the smaller time frames for after hours price action. And of course, we already looked at some of the weekly levels. Again, 67 support. That's what I would be looking at from here. If that fails for whatever reason, 60 bucks. But I don't think their earnings are bad. They just weren't great either. Just kind of mediocre, in line. Investors were probably hoping for something fantastical, and they didn't get it. And again, missing the data center revenue. That's what happened in the video last night, and they sold off, but ended up doing a nice V-shaped recovery and retracing back to baseline here. You look at MRVL, still struggling. Looks like, hopefully it doesn't turn into like some kind of bearish lowercase h pattern that we trade those in the Discord a lot, but we'll see. Again, 67 bucks support. Okay, Sansi, appreciate the info there. So Ichimoku Cloud showing it will regain a large portion of the dip, right? That's a good indicator to keep in mind. And I agree. I don't think this is, I think it's just could be I agree with Charles as well. It could, I think, or and Sansi, but could be an overreaction, and maybe between now and tomorrow's opening bell, it could possibly reclaim some of these levels. So just gonna have to let it marinate. Keep your eye out for higher lows and things of that nature. So MRVL, if you are trading, not financial advice, but if you are trading this in after hours, I mean, I'd like to see this at least get back up to the golden fib, which is right below 75 bucks a share. It's trading at 71 now. So, of course, stop losses don't work in after hours. So you're just going to have your finger on the trigger with some limit orders. But yeah, I think that would be, because it could make a solid attempt to retrace, get back to just below 75. It might have a little bit of trouble there. We'll see. No one can predict the future, but this is just what I've seen in the past. We'll make a nice attempt to retrace. It might have some trouble around the 61% fib. So that, for me personally, that would be a good place to take profit if you're trading shares in after hours here. It's just trading at 71 right now. So yeah, that would be my resistance levels. Is of course going to be 72 bucks to get over this 25%. And then I'd call 75 would be my next target on that. But if it does start retracing and it does retrace all the way back, and maybe it starts trending up from there, I mean, 80 bucks, that would be a solid profit target, I think, on this. And that was resistance before it kind of entered a bit of a downtrend before it rallied a little bit going into the earnings. So 80 bucks, I think there'd probably be some sellers up there waiting. So that's probably where I would take some profit, at least trim, take some risk off the table, that kind of thing, if I was to go long on it. But let me go back intraday here real quick. Okay, so all right, starting to fish hook up a little bit. It's testing that. It's right below 72 bucks, just below there. It's testing that level again. Let's see if it can finally break through. And then, yeah, resistance one, I put about 75. And if it can break through that, and this actually does retrace 100% back to baseline where it closed the regular session at, I'd be looking at 80 bucks as my next profit target for sure. Again, not financial advice. This is all for entertainment and learning, right? All right, let me go to Dell. We got the reaction and the data for MRVL. Just real quick, let me see when MRVL's earnings web call is going to be. I'll just get it straight from their investor relations page. I'll save everyone some time from having to find the link. And then we'll talk about Dell, and then hopefully I have enough time to go over some of my open positions and stuff like that. And I took profit on a few positions today as well. So here's MRVL. Okay. And right here, so Thursday, August 28th, this is going to be the conference call. And they're saying 1:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's going to be 4:45 p.m. So their earnings web call is in about 15 minutes. So let me post this link. I'll put it on the bottom of my screen, get everyone a chance to screenshot. It should be pretty easy to type into your web browser to get there. And once you get there, right on the home page of their investor relations page, just scroll down a little bit to special events, and then you'll see the data for the earnings conference call. Okay. All right, so that's how you get there. Let's move on to Dell. Yep, it broke over 72. So that was an important level for me. So it is starting to trend up a bit. Next level that's going to be important, that golden ratio on the retracement. It's a little less than 75 a share. So it did get to 72, which is what we wanted. So let's see if it keeps trending up. And then the next level for me is going to be 75 bucks. If it breaks 75, then my confidence is definitely pretty high that it's gonna pull in what Nvidia did yesterday, where it basically retraces all the way back up and ends up flat. Like one day after their earnings, what their price was going into the earnings. One day after, they basically end up at the same price. That's basically what happened with Nvidia, right? So I can see MRVL possibly doing the same thing, because some of the issues that they had with their earnings data were similar to the issues NVIDIA had. Again, it was that data center revenue. All right. Okay, so let's flip over to Dell just real quick because I know their data's out. They were a bit volatile before that data hit. I mean, they closed the regular session at $134 a share, a little bit above that, and they went all the way to 143.20 right when the earnings got released. And look what's happened since then. Tammy says Bull is up 3%. Yeah, let me check back on Bull. Let me go TradingView and check Bull real quick. BULL, because I am wanting to re-enter this trade. I've been running the wheel strategy on Bull, and we've been having a lot of fun doing it. I've already had a handful of successful trades. I think I'm 3 for 3 on this. The past 3 times I've traded it within the past month, actually. And I'm looking to continue my streak on it. I, of course, put my trading on Bull on hold to get through the earnings. I don't trade much through earnings. If I do have a long position that I don't want to sell, it's like a longer term hold or something, one thing I'll do to protect myself is I'll put a collar on the position, which basically means you're selling covered calls, and then you're using that premium you receive on the covered calls to buy some naked put options to basically cap your downside through intrinsic value through the strike price you pick on the put option. I know that was kind of a mouthful, but hope that makes sense. That's what a collar is. Okay, so that usually, if I'm still holding a position and I'm taking it through the earnings announcement, and especially if it's a profitable position, the real simple thing to do is just put a collar on it. Okay, and then you can protect your gains that you've already had, and you'll be just fine. All right, but I didn't currently have an open position on Bull, so I just decided to put. I was selling cash trade puts on it, so I just decided to put those trades on hold while we get through this earnings reaction. And yeah, Bull's trading right around $15 right now. So, but they did get a positive reaction, and they're taking a little bit of a breather now. So we'll see. But I'm looking forward to re-entering this the trade on Bull. I'm going to see how the price action performs for the rest of tonight. And then, of course, tomorrow morning, I may be re-entering this tomorrow. We'll see, because obviously it's not a negative reaction. So we'll see if it starts trading sideways and enters like a phase of accumulation or consolidation or something like that. I definitely would like to take a nibble on it and open up a new trade on that. So especially for the Discord members, I'll keep you all posted on that, okay, tomorrow for sure. So let me go back to Dell just for a sec. A little after 4:30. Let me see what their EPS and revenue and did they mess with their guidance as well? Because MRVL did. All right. Okay, here's Dell's data. And of course, the graphic I have here is all nice and green, but I'm thinking they reduced their guidance. It's kind of been the theme with some of these tech companies and their earnings. I don't know if everyone's noticed. They've been reducing at least Q3 guidance. Some of them reduced the rest of the fiscal year guidance. It didn't look like many of them messed with 2026 guidance, but the remainder of Q3 and the remainder of this year, some of these tech companies have been lowering the guidance, and we're seeing negative reactions because of it. Investors don't like the guidance being lowered. Investors are forward looking, and you're going to tell me something in the future is being lowered as far as expectations go. That doesn't sit well with investors at all. So here's Dell. Okay, here's Dell. So again, the forecast EPS 2.29, they reported 2.32. They beat that. Revenue 29.19 billion, they reported 29.77 billion. They beat that just by a little bit, not by a lot. Year over year and quarter over quarter numbers for EPS and revenue also green. So that's all fine and dandy. And from a bird's eye view, you're like, oh wow, okay, this looks like good earnings. Well, it doesn't stop there, because again, if they start messing around with their guidance in a negative way, it doesn't matter what their EPS and revenue was. It kind of goes out the window. You start messing with the guidance in a negative way, investors don't really care about the EPS and revenue. They're more concerned about what the company's telling us is going to be their numbers and revenue and stuff in the future, which would be the guidance. So You know, it's always going to be a negative thing when they do that. So there's the Dell earnings here. So we just went over EPS and revenue, but here's some commentary from Yvonne McGill, it's the CFO of Dell. In Q2, we achieved strong top-line results and profitability, reaching record revenue of $29.8 billion. We delivered another quarter of robust cash generation with $2.5 billion, in cash flow from operations and $1.3 billion in shareholder returns. Yeah, so it looks like they're just trying to kind of make these. They're kind of chirping up this commentary because they lowered the guidance probably. So yeah, that all sounds great, Yvonne McGill. But there's always something behind the curtain. So here's some more commentary here, and this is from the CEO, Jeff Clark. It says we've now shipped $10 billion of AI solutions in the first half of, surpassing all shipments in fiscal year 25. This helped deliver another record revenue quarter in our servers and networking business, which grew 69%. Demand for our AI solutions continues to be exceptional, and we're raising our AI server shipment guidance for fiscal year 26. So they raised the guidance for next year, but they're not giving all the info here on this report because I'm thinking they pulled a Marvell, which means they probably lowered Q3 guidance, but then they're trying to counteract that by raising next year's guidance. So kind of just mixed, you know. Let's take a look at this. Client solutions up 1% year over year. All right, revenue estimate 29.8 versus 25.3 billion. Infra solutions plus 44% year over year. So again, the data doesn't look bad, but it's nothing like excellent either, you know. So it's just like a lot of things are just coming in line. Growth is now connected in AI and high performance hardware, ongoing storage weakness and soft consumer client sales. Okay, this is probably has to do with the negative reaction here. So let me just repeat this. So this is from Dell. Growth is now concentrated in AI and high performance hardware. However, ongoing storage weakness in soft consumer client sales signal risk if AI demand falters. But operating leverage remains high. So that's kind of what's spooking investors right now. Let me read that one more time. So this is for Dell. Ongoing storage weakness in soft consumer client sales are signaling risk if AI demand falters. But operating leverage remains high. So that's concerning. All right, so that's what's going on with Dell. MRVL still trying to hold up here at the bottom. Excuse me, I had to take a sip of water there. All right, so now we know what's going on with both these companies and why they reacted the way they did. Overall, I think both companies are going to be just fine. They're both profitable companies. They both have positive net income. You know, just investors aren't seeing the growth that they want to see as far as, you know, it's more specifically MRVL had to lower their Q3 guidance, which is not good. And with Dell, investors are just seeing some signals that are indicating some risk regarding the storage weakness and soft consumer client sales. So it's just something to know, you know, something to keep in the back of your mind if you're trading these. Let me put the EPS and revenue data up for Dell. Then we'll find out what time their earnings web call is with the CEOs, or the CEO and CFO. And then it looks like I'll probably have enough time to go over some of the positions that I got open, and I closed one today, and we can talk about that a little bit. So there's the Dell EPS and revenue, okay? And we just talked about exactly what's going on with both of these. So I suppose with that said, let me go ahead and take a look at some of the positions I closed. Let's go over the position I closed out today. And then we'll look at some of my open positions. Okay, so this is in the Discord here. I was selling cash secured puts on Mara. I really like it. Anytime it trades between 10 and 20, I can cash it, you know, around the mid range there. I always sell cash secured puts on it, and it's always been going well. I've never lost a Mara trade yet, and I've been trading Mara for a few years now. But these were $15 cash secured put, and I got $41 a contract when I wrote those contracts. So I'm on the selling side of the transaction on this. And you can see here, they basically almost went worthless. They were only worth 0.05 earlier today. The trade does expire tomorrow. And I know Mara's been a little volatile lately. So I just decided to take the easy money and backed up $72 in profit today, put that in my pocket. So I bought these back to close. So when I'm writing contracts, the onset of the transaction, when you're opening it, is always sell to open, right? Because I'm on the selling side of the transaction, not the buying side. So I sell to open, and then when I feel like I've gotten enough profit and I'm ready to close it out, then I buy to close. I actually have to buy it back. So I buy it back cheaper to close it than when I sold it to open it, and then I pocket the difference. That's how writing contracts work. And some people will say, well, you were trading puts, right? And this was a bullish trade, by the way. Yeah, I was using puts for a bullish trade. That's because I was short the put. Anytime you're short the contract, you're doing the opposite of what the contract is. So this is a put contract. Typically, you buy those when you're bearish. Well, I decided to be on the selling side of the transaction. So I actually wrote the contract and sold it to someone who was bearish. But of course, I was right and they were wrong. And I took early profit on this today. I just did 2 lot size on this one. Easy $72. And then this was actually a spread trade. I opened up on Tuesday. It is a bullish spread on PayPal. And we can just go over that real quick. I'll use TradingView. I'll just kind of tell you what my thesis was behind the trade. Not only because I don't think PayPal's going anywhere anytime soon. I personally use PayPal for my businesses over here in Florida for a lot of things. But the setup was, PayPal just had their earnings. Okay, they had their earnings on July 29th, so it's the end of last month, about a month ago. Big gap down. I personally think it was an overreaction. Finally, when the selling stopped, it started kind of trending up a little bit. I mean, you could put a regression trend on this thing pretty easily, and it'd be crystal clear what I'm looking at. So it's kind of like that. Okay, so earnings is out of the way. The selling has stopped or slowed, at least slowed down and stopped. Kind of making higher lows a little bit, slightly trending up, and couple that with a potential gap fill to the upside now. That's why I opened up a bullish spread on PayPal. And what I did was I sold the $67 put, sold to open, and then I bought to open the $66 put strike. That formed a $1 wide spread, and I collected $24 a spread. And I did a handful of these. Chance of profit, 72%. I think it's a solid trade, okay? And PayPal has a gap to fill to the upside. So I just opened this up the other day. It was already up. I opened this up on Tuesday, and I was already up, I believe, 20% today. Because PayPal's been doing well. You can just zoom out on the 15-minute. There was a bit of a scary yesterday in pre-market, but total V-shaped recovery, and it didn't even bother me. So, and then it's just been trending up from there. So I'm more specifically, don't let the intraday price action kind of fool you. There's a lot of noise on intraday price action. I mainly trade off the bigger time frames. and most of my trades are swings. I don't really, I mean, I do day trade here and there. I'll do some scalp trades for fun with the Discord members. Yeah, I usually do that, maybe once a week or something. I'll jump on and do some scalp trades and trade like a ninja, in and out in like a minute or less. And that's always fun. I am good at it, but my bread and butter is swing trading options, and more specifically, I like to write contracts. I like to be on the selling side of the transaction. That is my bread and butter. I've been doing it for years, and that's just what suits me and my personality and the amount of time that I have on my hands, because I do have some other businesses over here in Florida that take a bit of my time. So when I open these trades, there's not really a lot of screen time, and usually just manage them, maybe once or twice a week, and that's even if I have to. And or if I'm taking early profit, so click a few extra buttons during the week. It's not a lot of time. But anyways, that's my thesis on PayPal. Opened up a bullish spread on that this past Tuesday, and I like to trade. It has the potential profit of 24% return on the buying on the capital that I'm using for the trade. So I'll take that. Especially with credit spreads, I always like to get at least 20% or more return on my money. That's usually my profit target on spreads. When I'm running the wheel strategy on something, I like to get at least a 3% return on my money every month, and doing that consistently for the year, I'll be able to beat the S&P annual average by 3x or more. That's usually my goal there. So anyways, yeah, let's see here. Cats on X. Yeah, just shoot me a message, shoot me a DM. I'm on X as well. So if you haven't followed me, go to my X account and follow me, because I do put a lot of updates on there on my X account. And I also started a $2,500 account challenge that's going extremely well, and all the updates on that are going on my X account. But my handle on X is the swinging bull _1, and you can see the link in the description of this stream too. If you just want to click on that, it'll take you right there. But yeah, if you ever want to collaborate and chit chat about anything, go follow me on X and shoot me a message. I'll be happy to speak with you. We can chit chat and kind of go from there. So anyways, this is my thesis on my PayPal spread. Okay, kind of running out of time here. Let me go back, just kind of let y'all know some of the other trades I was doing. Matter of fact, let's go here. Okay, yeah, this is when I was trading OSCR, and I did it. This was another spread trade, put credit spread. Got 50% on that, so I went ahead and took that profit. If I remember correctly, I got gains pretty quickly on that, so it just made sense to go ahead and take that. And that $2,500 account challenge I was talking about, here's the results so far. I've only been in the challenge for 2 weeks, and I've already got 5.2% return on the entire portfolio. So I'm only 2 weeks into that, and I do have some open trades on that account challenge. Of course, I give all these trades out to the Discord members, but as far as my X account, I will be giving the progress updates on my X account, so you can see how the challenge is doing. But yeah, we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. I love what I do. I love being a contract writer. So if you've ever been interested in writing contracts, maybe you've heard about it. And yeah, Cats, let me drop my Twitter handle here in the comments, so everyone can just easily click on it. Give me 1 second here. Okay, there we go. All right, I'll post it right here in the comments. I appreciate you asking for that. There we go. So it's at swinging bull _1. Here, I'll put it on the screen. So that's my X handle. That'll take you straight there. But yeah, like I said, if you've ever been interested in writing contracts and you just weren't sure where to start, I'm your guy. All right. I love teaching it to people. It makes me feel good. And what I do is I wheel stocks all year. I've been doing this for a while. I wheel stocks all year, and then I take the profit at the end of the year from all my wheel trades, and then I put it into a real estate deal. Typically over here in Florida is where I do most of my real estate deals. So that's what I do. I trade all year. I basically trade full time, but like I said, I wouldn't call it full time. because there's not a lot of screen time with the type of trading that I do, but I do trade all year using the wheel strategy and spreads. I love trading spreads. And at the end of the year, I take all my profit, dump it into a real estate deal that pays me true passive income every month. And then I reset my account every January, and I just do that all over again, year after year. It's been a blast. It's been a great time over the years, and I'm that's why I joined the Discord to help show people different ways of trading, because it's not, a lot of people don't know there's so many different ways to trade, especially when you get into the multi-leg options. There's so many ways to trade: debit spreads, credit spreads, iron condors, inverse iron condors, cash secured puts, covered calls, dividend capture strategy. We can do buy plus write strategy. There's lots of risk management strategies I use, like the collar trades. I also been trading a lot of diagonal calendar spreads. I've been showing the Discord all about those. So, if you've just ever been curious, there's a lot more ways to trade than just buying a call option and wanting the stock to go up, or buying a put and wanting the stock to go down. If you're kind of sick and tired of the rat race, like day trading every day, I'm telling you, there's a better way to do it. All right. So if that's something you're interested in learning, new ways to trade that are a bit more less emotional trades, and they're less stressful trades. It can be boring at sometimes, but boring's good. That means, we're not getting our asses handed to us. I just love, and I basically target weekly or monthly income. Lately, I've been doing bi-weekly income, targeting 2-week contracts. And just let the income roll in, and it's a lot of fun. So but yeah, anyways, my name's the Swinging Bull. Wow, we got almost over 1,600 people tuned into this stream, and I know we got a big following on X over there, so I bet a lot's from there. And the YouTube presence has been going up as well. But yeah, I'm always here for anyone that needs anything. If you're looking for a new home, a supportive community, check the links in the description. You can even join for free. Just see how you like the free section and go from there. But yeah, if you do end up joining, just tag me in the chat. I'll come by and say hello, or just follow me on X and send me a message there. Be happy to talk to anyone about anything regarding trading and or real estate, because I've been in real estate for 18 years too. So, but yeah, other than that, Swinging Bull with PB Alerts. I do these streams every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we have a blast. We have a lot of fun doing it. But I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their night. And until then, I'll see everyone in the next stream. Cheers.